What happens when the world's most iconic stars spiral out of control? Welcome to the untamed side of old Hollywood, a time when chaos reigned and the glittering facade of fame hid a darker reality. This was the shadowy underworld of entertainment, where secrets brewed, addictions ran rampant, and scandals nearly dismantled the industry. These 15 actors weren't just celebrated, they were dangerous. They broke boundaries, shattered hearts, and sometimes even the law. Some endured the chaos, while others burned out quickly, leaving behind unforgettable tales. Buckle up, because by the end of this list, you'll see the golden age of Hollywood in a whole new light. Let's start with Charlie Chaplin, the comedic genius whose personal life was riddled with controversy. Known as the king of silent films, Chaplin won audiences over with his slapstick humor, iconic mustache, and ability to make people laugh and cry at the same time. But behind his on-screen charm was a man with a troubling personal history. Chaplin's relationships revealed a concerning pattern. At 35, he married 16-year-old Lita Grey, a marriage that quickly dissolved into chaos. Grey later accused him of being emotionally controlling and manipulative. Things escalated further when actress Joan Barry accused Chaplin of fathering her child. Despite DNA tests proving otherwise, the court still ordered him to pay child support, fueling a media frenzy, but the drama didn't stop there. Chaplin's political views also drew scrutiny. During the Red Scare, he was accused of being sympathetic to communism, and the US government made its stance clear. In 1952, while Chaplin was traveling abroad, he was barred from returning to America. Despite his fame, he never became a US citizen. "I remain, above all else, a clown," Chaplin once said. But his life was far more complicated than that. As dark as Chaplin's story was, the next Hollywood legend took chaos to another level, and didn't bother to hide it. Enter Clark Gable, the ultimate heartthrob of classic Hollywood. Gable had it all: looks, charm, and a magnetic presence that left women swooning and men in awe. But behind the polished exterior, his record was far from spotless. The flawless image came at a price. Beneath the surface, Clark Gable's story takes a dark turn. Actress Loretta Young, who starred with him in Call of the Wild, later disclosed a horrifying truth. Gable had assaulted her, leaving her pregnant. In the 1930s, such a scandal could have destroyed their careers, so the studio intervened to suppress it. Young disappeared for months, secretly gave birth, and later claimed she adopted her own child. Gable had a reputation as a notorious womanizer, frequently embroiled in affairs, including those with married women. MGM tirelessly managed his image, covering up indiscretions. Publicists of the time knew how to keep both reporters satisfied and law enforcement at bay. To the audience, he was the charming Rhett Butler. Off the screen, however, was a man who left a trail of heartbreak and deception. Then there was Errol Flynn, Hollywood's charming rogue. Known for his dashing roles and magnetic presence, Flynn epitomized the swashbuckling hero. But behind his polished image lay chaos. By the 1940s, Flynn's scandalous behavior was making more headlines than his films. In 1942, he faced accusations of statutory assault from 2 underage girls. Although he was acquitted, his reputation took a serious hit. Later stories revealed unsettling details about his life, including secret peepholes and one-way mirrors in his home, allegedly used to spy on guests. Flynn once infamously quipped, "I like my liquor aged and my girls young," a statement that summed up his reckless lifestyle. He was also linked to drugs, smuggling, and even espionage allegations, with suspicions of ties to Nazi agents during World War II, although no charges were ever proven. Wherever trouble brewed, Flynn seemed to be nearby, often fanning the flames. By the time he hit 50, his self-destructive habits caught up with him, and he died in a haze of scandal and speculation, leaving behind a legacy both legendary and cautionary. But the scandals of old Hollywood don't end with Flynn. Up next is a story that might surprise you, one involving a man famous for his humor, but whose reality was anything but funny: Roscoe. Fatty Arbuckle was a giant of silent cinema, both in stature and popularity. Loved for his physical comedy and charm, he was one of the era's most cherished figures, even working alongside Charlie Chaplin. However, his career came crashing down in 1921 during one fateful weekend in San Francisco. Arbuckle was accused of assaulting and causing the death of actress Virginia Rappe. The media seized on the story, turning him into a villain overnight. Religious groups protested his films, and Hollywood entered panic mode. Arbuckle endured 3 grueling trials, and though he was eventually acquitted with the jury apologizing for the baseless accusations, the damage was done. The public had already judged him guilty. Studios cut ties, his films were banned, and Arbuckle became the scapegoat for Hollywood's perceived moral failings. Even after adopting a pseudonym, he struggled to find steady work. His life and career ultimately became a tragic symbol of the entertainment industry's darker side. He tried bouncing back, helming cheap pictures, snagging minor parts, but the scandal haunted him until his death. He passed away in 1933 from a heart attack only hours after signing a new movie deal, the first true comeback chance in over 10 years. Arbuckle's downfall wasn't just personal. It led to the birth of the Hays Code, Hollywood's early ethics rules. And it proved that even the brightest fame could disappear in a blink. George Reeves, Superman's deadly enigma. George Reeves was America's original Superman, brave, virtuous, and steadfast. But away from the screen, his real existence was far from heroic. In 1959, Reeves was discovered lifeless in his bedroom with a bullet wound to the head. It was swiftly labeled a suicide, but few accepted that version. The riddle has lingered in Hollywood for generations. Reeves had been entangled in a turbulent relationship with Toni Mannix, the spouse of a powerful MGM figure with alleged ties to organized crime. After attempting to end the affair, Reeves started seeing a younger woman. That's when things took a strange turn. Pals reported he felt watched, stalked, even menaced. Some said he wanted to quit acting altogether. Others thought he was getting dangerously close to revealing something major. On the evening of his death, Reeves was reportedly alone upstairs while visitors were downstairs and heard the gunfire. The scene raised questions. No prints on the weapon, no residue on his skin. Theories exploded. Was it a killing staged as suicide? A jealous ex? A studio cover-up? To this day, the truth remains elusive. What's certain is that Reeves, once a figure of honor and courage, died. Wrapped in suspicion, Superman was meant to rescue others. One journalist wrote, "But no one rescued him. John Barrymore doomed royalty of the theater. John Barrymore was born. Into legacy, part of the famed Barrymore acting bloodline. He had the skill, the name, and a voice fit for Shakespearean legend. In the 1920s and 30s, he was praised as one of the finest performers alive. But stardom didn't fulfill him. Booze did. Barrymore's downfall was tragic. At first, he was admired for drinking with flair, classy spirits, all-night gatherings, and sharp-tongued quips. But it soon turned grim. He began forgetting scripts, skipping rehearsals, and arriving on sets, either intoxicated or not at all. He became a laughingstock, the same man who once portrayed Hamlet, now stumbling through farces just to stay afloat. Friends tried to help. He'd vanish for days or weeks. When found, he was often penniless, unkempt, and among strangers. His house turned into a carousel of disorder. One producer remarked, "John Barrymore was the only man I knew who could drink his own legend under the table." But it wasn't just the booze. Barrymore's conduct grew more unstable. He was infamous for lewd stunts at elite events, shamelessly hitting unmarried women and mocking studio bosses openly. In the end, he lost nearly everything: his fortune, his fame, and even his pride. He passed in 1942 at age 60, a man completely crushed by the world that once worshipped him. Marlon Brando, Hollywood's firestorm. Marlon Brando wasn't merely a performer, he was a seismic force. When he exploded onto the screen in a streetcar named Desire, the film industry was never the same, but his brilliance carried a whirlwind of private disorder. Brando was passionate, erratic, and emotionally volatile. He engaged in countless liaisons with both women and men, ruined several unions, and once admitted, "I don't know if I'm even human." Behind the fame, Marlon Brando was a man deeply burdened by pain. Tragedy struck when his son Christian took the life of his sister's boyfriend, and years later, his daughter Cheyenne ended her own life. These heartbreaking losses left Brando broken, and he never fully recovered. He became known for clashing with film executives, rebelling against Hollywood norms, and famously refusing to accept his Academy Award for The Godfather. While his activism was bold and fearless, it often distanced him from others. Fellow actors described him as both brilliant and difficult. A genius one moment, a challenge the next. Brando's constant inner turmoil shaped his unforgettable performances, grounded in raw, authentic emotion. But even his fiery passion couldn't shield another star from even darker secrets, the kind Hollywood kept hidden for years. Robert Mitchum, the rebel Hollywood couldn't tame. Robert Mitchum embodied effortless cool. Laid back yet intense, his natural charisma made him unforgettable. But Mitchum didn't just play the bad boy on screen, he lived it in real life. In 1948, he was arrested at a Los Angeles party for marijuana possession. At the time, such a scandal could have easily ended his career. Mitchum, however, shrugged it off, comparing it to being caught with a drink. He served jail time, but the controversy only enhanced his mystique. Hollywood quickly realized that Mitchum's dangerous edge made him even more appealing. Known for his brawls, set disruptions, and sharp tongue, he rejected rules and audiences. Loved him for it. Mitchum himself once said, "The only difference between me and my characters is I don't pull the trigger." A line that stuck because it felt so true. While others hid their flaws, Mitchum's wild side was always in the open. Yet, despite his rebellious nature, he managed to maintain control, a balance that the next star couldn't achieve. Rock Hudson, the secret that shook. Hollywood, Rock Hudson was the epitome of a Hollywood leading man. Handsome, charming, and romantic, he captivated audiences with his roles. But behind the scenes, Hudson lived a double life. At a time when being openly gay could destroy a career, he was forced to hide his true self. The studios carefully crafted his public persona, even arranging a fake marriage to his secretary to silence rumors. Hudson's private life was full of secrecy and fear. Friends had to keep quiet, and relationships were hidden from the world. He once confessed, "I just want to be loved, but I have to pretend to be someone else to get it." In 1985, his life took a tragic turn when he was diagnosed with AIDS. He became one of the first major celebrities to publicly reveal their battle with the disease, sending shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond. His diagnosis not only shattered the image of the perfect heartthrob, but also forced the nation to confront the AIDS crisis. While some fans felt betrayed, others admired his courage. Hudson's revelation changed the way society discussed illness, sexuality, and the pressures of Hollywood secrecy. Though he passed away that same year, his decision to embrace the truth became his most powerful statement. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated. See you in the next video.